Welcome to the Daily Insider here on VegasInsider.com. I am Kevin Rogers as we take you through the next 45 minutes or so, taking a look back at last night's action and look ahead to today. And don't forget, during the next, well, I should say don't forget like you know this, but coming up over the next probably 6 or 7 weeks, we're going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays only, and we're going to be off next week for the All-Star break, even though the NBA Finals still continue through next week, but we'll be off next week and then return coming up in less than 2 weeks on that Tuesday, which is on July 20th. So we will return then, and we'll have plenty of Major League Baseball to look at, and then we transition into football coming up very soon, but we'll have shows just on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I just want to let you know about that. Also, the Daily Insider contest. Want to tell you about that as well. Want to remind you that that contest is still going on, and it's very easy to enter. Put your Vegas Insider user ID in the comment section below, along with your best bet for the night, whether it is the NBA Finals, Major League Baseball, now hockey is over with, WNBA. So you have all of that you can choose from. Put your best bet in. It can be a first half play in the NBA. It could be a first quarter play. It could be a side. It could be a total. It could be a player prop bet. Same thing with Major League Baseball. Player prop bet. You can do that as well. First 5 inning play, side, total, run line, whatever you want. And if you win your best bet, you'll be in the drawing for a week's worth of handicapper picks from one handicapper on VegasInsider.com. It's a $100 value you get for free. So put your Vegas Insider user ID and your best bet for the day in the comment section below. If you do not have a Vegas Insider user ID, it's very easy to acquire, and you can get it for free. Go up to the big yellow register button in the upper right-hand corner. Click on that. Free membership, register now. Register, create user ID, password, email address, first and last name, and you'll be all set. That way we can get in contact with you. And it's all free to just create that ID and password. So, all of that is out there. Now let us begin with the proceedings. And we'll get to Major League Baseball in just a second. First, actually, we're going to start with the Stanley Cup. Now that the NHL season is over, following Tampa Bay, or as I like to call them, Champa Bay, they beat Montreal last night 1-0. They cash as a heavy favorite, but they end up not covering the puck line. But the Lightning, though, back-to-back champions, and they do it behind Andrei Vasilevsky, another brilliant performance in net. And the Lightning, they win the title over Montreal, and the Canadiens, who had a great run, but just ran into a buzzsaw against this Tampa Bay team who, again, just way more talented than Montreal. I mean, Montreal's got a great goalie in Carey Price, but the Lightning, just a much better team. And Tampa Bay wins the Stanley Cup. Taking a quick look at the Stanley Cup odds for next season, they are already out from BetMGM. And the Colorado Avalanche, who lost to Vegas in the second round, they are the favorites right now. Still have a long way to go at 5-1. Also, Vegas right behind them. Tampa Bay at plus 750 to win the Stanley Cup next season. And in case you're wondering, the expansion Seattle Kraken, who begin next season, they're going to have their expansion draft coming up and fill out their roster. They're at 50-1. And they have better odds than the Chicago Blackhawks, among other teams. Who would have thought that? But also, I'm sure the odds makers did not want to have a situation like with Vegas a few years ago when the Golden Knights came in thinking, all right, it's an expansion team, they're going to be bad. And they were huge underdogs, or at least they were long shots, I should say, to win the Stanley Cup. They made it all the way to the Stanley Cup before losing to Washington. So, it didn't end up mattering because they didn't win the whole thing. But because Vegas was that big hit that first year, they don't want to take a chance to make Seattle 500-1 or 200-1 to win it. So Seattle in that 50-1 range just to kind of cover themselves, and we'll see how good they are coming up in their first season coming up in October. So the NHL is now in the rearview mirror. Let's look ahead to the NBA, and you have Game 2 of the NBA Finals tonight between the Suns and the Bucks. And Phoenix won Game 1. They covered, and the and it went over the total. So the 3 meetings between Phoenix and Milwaukee this year have all gone over the total, and the game 1 was much lower than the 2 regular season meetings, but still barely went over by a few points. Now, when you look at tonight's matchup between the Suns and the Bucks, a couple things want to point out to you. Number one, that the Suns have done a very good job so far in this postseason in the role of a favorite. 9-2 straight up, 8-3 against the spread. Every win by 6 or more points in the covers. So the Suns have taken care of their business in that situation. So as a favorite, they've done well. They had 2 losses, and one of them came against the Clippers at home. They also lost to the Clippers on the road in Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals. But in Game 5 at home, they lost to the Clippers, a 6.5-point favorite. So that's their biggest spread in which they've lost outright, and only one time they have not covered as a favorite in a win, and that came in Game 2 against the Clippers in the 1-point victory. So more times than not, the Suns, when they win, they normally cover in the playoffs in the role of a favorite. Now, on the flip side for Milwaukee, this number a couple numbers I want to give you on the Milwaukee Bucks. Number one, now try to follow me on this one. Dating back to 2017 in the playoffs, in series that the Bucks do not have home court advantage, all right? Since 2017, in those series they don't have home court advantage, they are 2-10 on the road. And they're 0-1 here against Phoenix. They don't have home court. They went 1-3 against Brooklyn in the second round, and they won Game 7 in overtime, if you remember. And the other one came back in 2017 against Toronto in Game 1, and that was when Giannis was in his first playoff series. But in these series that they are, quote-unquote, not the better team, they don't win on the road. And we're not concerned yet with Game 3 and when it goes back to Fiserv Forum, but at least initially on the road, they're not a good play. Now, this other stat that I dug up, and this is from the last few years. All right. Since 2018, in the playoffs, in Game 2s, here, listen to these margins. These are the final score margins for the Bucks in Game 2s. -14, +21, +21, +22, +15, -2, +34, -39, +34. All right. That was a lot of numbers I just threw at you. That was 9 games. 8 times Game 2s were decided by double figures. Now, there were times that the Bucks won those games convincingly. There were other times that the Bucks lost those games in blowout fashion. Now, in these playoffs, the Milwaukee Bucks in 3 Game 2s against Miami, they won by 34 in Game 2 in the first round. They lost to Brooklyn by 39 in Game 2 of the second round, and they beat Atlanta by 34 in Game 2 of the conference finals. So every one of the 3 Game 2s Milwaukee's been a part of so far in the playoffs have all been decided by 34 points or more. Twice in their favor and once not in their favor. Now, is tonight's game going to be a 30-point blowout in one way or the other? Probably not. But it is interesting how the Bucks, these Game 2s, and again, it all depends on their opponents, because more times than not, in those situations that they won by 20 or more, they were at home. So now they're not at home. And that's where, again, not everything is equal really in the playoffs. So there are numbers that don't favor the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. And Chris Paul was exceptional in Game 1. Devin Booker played well, didn't shoot the ball well from three-point range, but got to the line a lot. We saw Giannis Antetokounmpo was fine. Maybe he's not 100%, but he was just fine because he put up good numbers in Game 1. Drew Holiday didn't shoot the ball well for the Bucks. And again, for Milwaukee, Giannis will get his points, will get his rebounds, and we'll see if Budenholzer plays him a little bit more tonight. But it's all about these supporting casts and who steps up. The Suns right now have pretty much a three-headed monster with Paul, Booker, and Aiden. Okay, so when those three are on, Jay Crowder doesn't score a point and they still win convincingly. Imagine when Jay Crowder starts scoring points. But with Milwaukee, Giannis will get his, Middleton will get his. Now who else? Holiday's your third star, whatever you want to call him. If he doesn't play well, let's see what Brook Lopez does. He's had a good postseason, but then it's the other guys. It's Bobby Portis. You know, the Connaughton off the bench. Who else is going to step up for the Bucks? And that's my concern with Milwaukee going into tonight. And as far as the total goes, I can see where maybe it stays a little under, but I don't want to take a shot with it. Now let's go to Major League Baseball, since you have one game that just started. So, I mean, we'll hit on it quickly. But the Dodgers, they're meeting up with the Marlins down in Miami. And I'll give the Marlins credit that the Marlins so far in this series, they've taken all three games with the LA Dodgers. And that's a really good job by them. 3-run walk-off homers last night by Jesus Aguilar. And the Marlins, 9 under 500. That's a pretty good job. They've won all three against LA. And they've won 5 of 7 now. And they've played, look, they've had a rough stretch here towards the All-Star break, the Marlins. The Nationals, the Phillies, the Braves, the Dodgers, and they get the Braves again this weekend. So this isn't exactly an easy stretch for Miami. And, you know, they're doing a good job. They've covered these games, or they've cashed, I should say, these games as an underdog. And LA, who was rolling along, they came off a 4-game sweep of the Nationals in D.C. Now they've lost 3 straight here. So it's Julio Urias and Sandy Alcantara on the mound. And that game just underway from Miami. And Alcantara doesn't have a great record, 5-7, but his ERA is below 3. He's an under machine. In his last 9 starts, he's 8-0-1 to the under. So, again, this game has started, so you can't really do much with it. But you can always play in-game, and that total at 7. So maybe, you know, if you want to jump in even under 7, after we saw a high-scoring game last night, that's a possibility. Colorado is at Arizona. And the Diamondbacks, surprised. The Diamondbacks actually are playing well here as of late. They've taken the first 2 in this series against Colorado, going for the sweep today. And the Diamondbacks, this is how bad it's been for them. They're 25-63. Now, the last time the Diamondbacks won 2 straight was back in early May. This is an amazing number. The Diamondbacks last swept a series in April, and that was at Cincinnati. The Diamondbacks have not swept a home series this year. So it's just been completely off the rails for them, but at least they've won 2 in a row now. And Jake Faria goes for them today, Chichi Gonzalez for Colorado. And look, I'm not going to take any credit away from Arizona considering how bad they've been. But Colorado now 6-33 on the road. Colorado is heading towards the All-Star break. And if they win 4 straight, they win their final 4 before the All-Star break, that would give them 10 road wins on the season. Now, they go to San Diego this weekend to play the Padres. And I got to believe they're not winning all 3, and then you got to win today. So there's a very high probability that the Colorado Rockies will enter the All-Star break 31-17 at home, but with single-digit road wins through the first half of the season, which is mind-boggling at this point. Tonight you have the Pirates and the Mets in New York, and I think Pittsburgh could be worth a look here. JT Brubaker on the mound for them. Pirates did win 3 straight before getting blown out by the Braves yesterday, 14-3. All right, I mean, they took the first 2 from Atlanta. I can't really fault them for that. I mean, the Pirates winning series at home, and they've actually, you know, they stumbled against Milwaukee in their last home series before beating Atlanta 2 of 3. But the Pirates playing better here at times. Now, when you look at what they've done on the road recently. They did take 3 of 4 at St. Louis, but also got swept to Colorado, who we mentioned is a really good home team, just a crappy road team. And JT Brubaker, he goes tonight for the Pirates. He's 4-8 on the season, 4.09 ERA. Brubaker was pitching well, but he is winless in his last 5 starts. Pirates actually 4-1 to the under in that span. And now they face the Mets, who are coming off another doubleheader yesterday. They split with Milwaukee. They came back and beat the Brewers in Game 1 as the Mets tied the game in the 9th off Josh Hader with a solo homer, then won it in extras. But then they got shut out in the nightcap 5-0. Still, the Mets have taken, or they took 2 of 3 from the Brewers. Now they're an exceptional favorite tonight with Taijuan Walker on the mound. And Walker, coming off his last start against the Yankees, he beat them at plus 135. Now he's almost minus 200, so that's a major flip for him. And look, Walker's 4-0 at home, 1.52 ERA. He's been a really good pickup for New York to complement Jacob deGrom and Marcus Stroman. And the Mets have a lot of injuries right now in their rotation. But I still think that's a very heavy number. The Cubs finally won a game last night. Congratulations to them, snapping an 11-game skid as they jumped on Zach Wheeler early. And they beat the Phillies 8-3, so the Cubs in the win column. And they go with Adbert Alzolay coming up this evening. And Alzolay actually was decent in his last start against the Reds. 7 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, and a 3-2 loss to Cincinnati, even though the Cubs were up 2-0 in that game and couldn't hold it. The Cubs, though, 0-4 in Alzolay's last 4 starts. He's been much better at home, 3.86 ERA. And now he's opposed tonight by Zach Eflin, who you wonder if he takes a step back here. Eflin was great against the Mets and Jacob deGrom a few starts ago, but the Phillies bullpen blew it. He almost cashed as a plus 250 underdog, couldn't do it. And they lost 4-3, but then he beat Yu Darvish his last time out at home against the Padres, 4-2. Still, though, Eflin, 5.71 ERA on the road. And when you look back at the Phillies, they've only won back-to-back starts made by Eflin one time this season. So I don't know how much trust I have in the Phillies. Cubs are a little beat up right now. Javi Baez didn't play last night, and Chris Bryant left with an injury. So the Cubs, they're dealing with some. Look, they're banged up and not playing well, and that is not a good combination at all for the Chicago Cubs, especially when they had a pretty decent start and then totally tanked towards the end of the first half. Washington and San Diego, that's going to be a really good pitching matchup tonight out of Petco Park. Yu Darvish and Max Scherzer on the mound. Scherzer was pretty good his last start against the Dodgers, except for the fact that the Dodgers blew up for 9 runs in the 7th inning in a 10-5 victory over the Nationals. So Scherzer went 6 innings, had nothing to show for it. And you got Scherzer as a dog there. Now, Scherzer a dog in back-to-back starts, which, again, you don't see normally. But Washington, who was rolling along, they've lost 5 of 7. They did blow out the Padres last night, in case you missed it, 15-5. And San Diego really hasn't been sharp of late either. 2-4 their last 6. And for Darvish, as a home favorite this year, San Diego 9-1 in those starts. And you'd think Darvish would bounce back tonight after he lost his last start, had a 2-0 lead against the Phillies, and then couldn't hold it. But, you know, again, San Diego's had these, I feel like they've had these bumps in the road a lot this season. Still 31-17 at home, 51 wins on the season. And both teams sending out their best pitchers here towards the end of the first half. And, again, it's going to be a really good pitching matchup, and a total of 7 there between the Nationals and the Padres tonight. In the American League, 2 afternoon games, Oakland and Houston, and the Astros going for the sweep of the Athletics. Frankie Montes goes for Oakland. He struggled of late, winless in his last 3 starts. In fact, the Athletics are 2-7 in his last 9 starts. He did pitch well at Minute Maid Park earlier this year to beat the Astros, but also lost to the Astros at home. And Montez has seen the overhit in 4 of his last 6 starts. He hasn't been bad of late. He's given up 2 earned runs in each of his last 2 starts, but the Athletics lost to the Giants in extra innings and then lost to the Red Sox in extra innings in his last 2 starts. So something to just keep in your back pocket that he's pitched well. It's just about the bullpen couldn't hold those games. And Oakland's beat up offensively, but they're going to try to avoid the sweep today. Lance McCullers Jr., he's been on fire for the Astros. He is unbeaten his last 4 starts since coming off the IL. And the Astros looking for a little bit more breathing room over Oakland for first place in the American League West. The Yankees go for the sweep of the Mariners today in Seattle. So New York, after they had some stumbles of late, they have won 3 in a row. And they face Logan Gilbert, who is unbeaten in his last 7 starts for Seattle. But I want to mention this, though. In Seattle's last 3 home wins with Gilbert on the mound, all 3 of those games went to extra innings, and the Mariners won them all. Coming back to beat Texas his last time out 5-4, beating Tampa Bay 6-5, and beating Oakland 6-5. So Gilbert in those games, I mean, he wasn't bad, but you wonder how much of that fortune, that good fortune, is going to stay with him in those starts if it continues. And Jordan Montgomery goes for the Yankees today. He's been, look, he's kind of an up-and-down guy, 3-3 record, 4.17 ERA. He's lost his last 2 starts to the Red Sox and the Mets. But he's pitched, the road ERA is 5.53. But in his last, he's gotten some decent run support on the road. I kind of like New York in this one. I think that they finish off the sweep. My only issue with Seattle is, 45 and 42, I feel like, not they've gotten the breaks, but they just found all these ways to win in extra innings, and I just don't know if they can keep that up over the long run. 3 night games in the American League, Toronto and Baltimore, and they meet up coming up at Camden Yards tonight. Alek Manoah and Keegan Aiken on the mound, and Toronto, again, a heavy favorite. I think Toronto needs a break from Baltimore because they have played them a ton so far this season. It feels like more than 9 meetings, but they played 9 times. Well, they played 9 times in about a 3-week span, and tonight will be 10. So they played 3 series in a very short time period. That's why it feels like they played just so many times, and Toronto's cleaning up against Baltimore. But Manoah was really good his last time out against Tampa Bay. His best start, in fact, as a major leaguer, 10 strikeouts and 7 scoreless innings, allowed 3 hits, 11-1 blowout of the Rays. He was laying 120 there. Now he's laying 200 on the road against Baltimore, who he faced last time, and he was laying 250 against the Orioles. He did go 6 innings, allowed 1 unearned run, but Baltimore ended up coming back and winning 6-5, a game that Toronto was up 5-1 going to the 8th, so not Manoah's fault. And before that, he faced Baltimore back on June 19th, 10-7 win at Camden Yards. Manoah allowed 5 runs early, but in that one, Toronto was down big, and Baltimore Baltimore had a big lead. Toronto came back 10-7. So in Manoah's 2 starts, in one of them, Manoah got off the hook, and the other one, he got screwed by the bullpen. So now he faces them for a 3rd time, and Keegan Aiken goes for Baltimore. Last time Aiken went, he lasted 3 innings against the Angels, ERA over 7. His last 4 starts, he's given up 23 earned runs, and the Orioles are 0-5 in his last 5 starts, and the over is 4-0. So you wonder if the offense is going to kick in once again. 10.5 total there at Camden Yards. The Royals and the Indians, they hook up in Cleveland, and the Indians are a mess right now. They've dropped 9 in a row. They're back at 500 at 42-42. Kansas City, who had a decent start to their homestand after they had a terrible road trip last time out, they won the first 2 against Minnesota, then lost the finale, and then dropped 2 of 3 to the Reds. In the only game they won against the Reds, they were down 5-1 Actually down 6-1, in fact, and came back and won 7-6. So the Royals haven't exactly been great of late. And the Royals, the last 4 games, they've allowed 5, 6, 6, and 6. So now you wonder if that one goes over tonight. Cleveland got swept by Tampa Bay. They got technically no hit in their last game, even though it went 7 innings. Second 7-inning no-hit performance this season in Major League Baseball. But also the Indians have been no-hit 3 times this year. So that's not good. But Zach Plesac, he is back in the Indians rotation. First time he's pitching since late May. And Plesac actually, when you talk about feast or famine with this guy, his last 2 starts before getting hurt, he allowed 5 runs against the Twins and 5 runs against the Angels. Before that, he had 3 starts, which he allowed a total of 2 runs. Before that, he allowed 6. He allowed 6. So he is all or nothing pretty much for the Indians as he goes to take them out tonight. And for Kansas City, it's Danny Duffy, who has seen the under hit in 7 of 9 starts. He ended up going just 4 innings his last time out against Minnesota in a 6-3 win. He has not gone more than 4 innings since May 12th against Detroit. And Duffy this season, he did go 6 innings, allowing 2 hits in a 3-0 win at Cleveland back on April 5th. So Duffy has seen success against Cleveland on the road, but then the last time he faced the Indians at home, he lost 4-0, giving up 3 earned runs. So that's why with these pitchers, it's so tough because they have one really good start against a team and then they don't have a good start. So you wonder if which one it's going to be the third time around. But the Indians favored in spite of the fact they've lost 9 straight. The other American League Central matchup, Detroit and Minnesota. The Tigers have played well of late. They've won 10 of 15, so it's a good job there. The 40-47 Detroit. That's not bad at all for a team that was supposed to win like 60-something games this year. And Minnesota's been a complete train wreck. That we knew. 2-7 the last 9 games for Minnesota. They were held to 2 runs the last 2 games against the White Sox. And, I mean, in the stretch, they've lost 5 times to Chicago, who's running away with the AL Central. But Tarek Skubal goes for Detroit tonight. And Skubal is unbeaten in his last 4 starts. He's pitched, he gave 5 runs his last time out against Chicago, but he got a lot of offense behind him. His last 3 starts have all come at home, and the Tigers won all 3 of them. He's been pretty decent recently on the road. He's had some nice underdog victories, plus 135 against Seattle, also plus 200 against the White Sox, plus 135 against Kansas City. I just don't know if that holds up again tonight. J.A. Happ, who, again, has not been good at all for Minnesota. The Twins are 4-0 in his last 4 home starts, so that's something to be mindful of. And he's gotten some good run support in those games. 8, 7, 7, 6. So that's a pretty good thing to keep out for. But Minnesota favored there against Detroit in the final game of the American League slate coming up tonight. Now, taking a quick look, in case you missed it yesterday, at the Euro 2020, England will face Italy coming up in the finals. And really, really a tough spot if you had Denmark yesterday, as our preview is up for England and Italy. And a really tough spot for Denmark because they lost in extra time to England 2-1. Harry Kane had the game-winning goal for England. And, I mean, it's just a completely difficult way to lose. Not only because you lost, but there's a penalty kick. Harry Kane gets stopped. But because the Denmark goalie did not have possession of the ball, it bounced back to Kane, and he was able to kick it where he's going to score in that situation. But This is a tough one. It really is a tough way to lose. I know there's never a good way to lose, but that one's just really, really difficult for Denmark, who had a great run in this Euro 2020 to get all the way to almost to the finish line, and could have faced Italy for the championship. Instead, it's going to be England and Italy, which will be, again, a very good match. But yeah, that's a really tough way to lose when you make the stop on one of the best players in the world, and it's a free ball and it bounces out, and then he kicks it in for the go-ahead goal. So that's a difficult one. Also, we have UFC 264 this weekend in Las Vegas. Of course, it's Poirier and McGregor leading the card, and we have so much MMA content for you to check out. Our man Adam Leichenstein, who I talked to on our best bet video. It's about 10 minutes long. You can check that out on our homepage. And Adam breaks down some of the key fights on Saturday. Also, if you are curious on more of Adam's thoughts, he has a breakdown of the main card, of the prelims, the early prelims, best bet props, all of that. So you could find that not only on our homepage, but also on the UFC 264. You click on this, it's all UFC. So you'll be set for the fights coming up on Saturday out in Las Vegas at T-Mobile Arena. And see if Poirier can beat McGregor once again. He beat him the last time, and now he's listed as a favorite. And again, the auto goes to Atlanta this weekend for the Quaker State 400. Michael Roberts has the breakdown of that, so you can find that on our auto page as well. And want to remind you, too, about our friend Morton Anderson, the Great Day Nation podcast. They have a new podcast out, just released yesterday. They go over the top 7 number 7s in football history. See where Morton ranks among that, and see if you can guess who number 1 is. But if you want to check that out with Morton Anderson, you can find the Great Day Nation podcast there on our homepage, or also you can go to, under More, you can find the podcast and find the Great Day Nation podcast right there, the top 7 number 7s in NFL history. So you try to take a guess on who the top number 7 is. And spoiler alert, it's not Morton. He's high on the list, but it's not him. He's not number 1. So, again, Bucks Suns, you can check out the preview for Game 2 tonight from Michael Crossan. And also Kevin Davis has Thursday's best bets for tonight. He likes a couple underdogs in Major League Baseball, so you can check that. You can check out his thoughts there and click on that picture there with Max Scherzer. And he gets to start tonight against Yu Darvish and the Padres. So that should be a very intriguing game for some late-night baseball this evening. Again, the daily contest. The Vegas Insider, Daily Insider contest. I think I butchered that right there. But put your Vegas Insider user ID along with your best bet for the day in the comments section below. And your best bet can be Major League Baseball, it can be NBA, it could be WNBA. It is actually, it could be a side, a total, player prop bet, first 5 innings for baseball, first half of the NBA, first quarter for the NBA. And it was a bad first quarter beat if you had the under on Tuesday night. But you can pretty much pick and choose whatever you want. Just no live bets. We don't do the live bets for the contest. And if you win, remember you got to win your bet, but if you win, you'll be in the drawing for a week's worth of handicapper picks. One handicapper of your choosing, free picks from them for a week. It's a $100 value for free if you win the drawing for the picks. And if you do not have a Vegas Insider user ID, click on the big yellow register button in the upper right-hand corner. Free membership, register now, click on it. Create an ID and a password for free. Email address, first and last name so we can get in contact with you and you'll be all set. Big yellow register button in the upper right-hand corner. That gets you into the Vegas Insider community. And also, please like and subscribe to our videos here at Vegas Insider. And we very much appreciate it. And we will talk to you coming up in 12 days. We'll be off next week, but then we'll be back in 12 days on Tuesday the 20th for another edition of the Daily Insider. I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for watching and participating. And as always,